All right, welcome back to what is this? Episode 4 of the
That's
Blind
right.
Pig. Part 1. We're going to probably do a 2-part series here, breaking down some sleepers in the draft. Looking forward, obviously, the curveball has to come out, and Paul messaged me earlier today, and he hit it right on the head. So, instant reaction. Mike Lombardi reporting that we could sell the farm, quote unquote, to go up and get Trey Lance. What do you guys think of that?
We don't need to sell the farm for anyone. We don't need to sell the farm for anyone. We just won the East with a one-legged Alex Smith and a hurt running back, one wide receiver, and half an offensive line. We don't need to sell the farm for anybody. What need do we have that we need to go, we'll give up 2 first, 2 second? We have no need to do that, I don't think.
I think the argument to do it is at some point the rent a quarterback, the rent a aging vet program has to come to a close, and we have to have a young quarterback of the future. I don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to stumble into that. Somebody mentioned Ben Roethlisberger today. We're not going to stumble into a Ben Roethlisberger, I don't think. But I just feel like at some point, if you feel like a special quarterback is there, I don't want to say it's worth anything that it might cost you to get them, but you have to think about it. And the thing I worry about the most is that our talent, all this great young talent we have, we're either going to age out of those guys of their prime years before we actually get a permanent solution at quarterback, or it's going to start falling apart because of the contracts all coming due at the same time. So I think there's a timing aspect of it that you could make an argument, go get that guy now while we have all this young talent.
Yeah,
but I don't want to pay the cost, just like Mike said.
All really good points. And if we were to make a move up to get a Trey Lance, I think the thing you need to consider is that he would be far more insulated compared to guys like Haskins and compared to guys like Griffin. I think there's a lot more talent around Trey Lance if you add Trey Lance to our roster. So in terms of achieving success, I think that this roster would give a young quarterback like Lance a decent chance of succeeding long term. My personal issue with Trey Lance is the fact that this guy hasn't had a lot of college experience, and I don't know if you want to give up that type of draft capital for something which I consider to be fairly risky. When you look at guys who have had, I believe it's like less than 20 career college starts, I mean, the evidence isn't too promising in terms of long-term NFL success. So you want to move up, fair enough. I don't know if a guy that is, not experienced like Lance is the guy you do it for.
I mean, I would, if I had to put a number on it, a percentage of likelihood, I think it's 15% likelihood that we're going to do that.
I give up the 19 in Cam Sims.
I think a lot of it right now is posturing. I think San Francisco traded up to 3, and the reports that they're in love with Mac Jones is posturing. I don't trade to number 3 to get Mac Jones. I trade number 3 for a big swing. And of the two, my big swing is probably Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Now, I'm not saying I'd make the move. I'm just saying the big swing is those two guys. I don't do that. I don't think either one of them is worth that. I don't think anybody not named Trevor Lawrence is worth that. So I think a lot of this is posturing, and I think a lot of this is speculation, and I think a lot of it is that we're 3 weeks away from the draft, and you don't want to tip your hand. So you're telling everybody everything. Lombardi's the same guy that said we were all in on Mariota. Okay, and I like Lombardi. He doesn't pack punches. I like to listen to him, but at the same time, he ain't been right yet about a quarterback. Nobody was saying Fitzpatrick. You know what I'm saying? So I think Rivera, and if we've learned something from Rivera and company, it's that,
we're not going to know.
You're not going to know anything. Real quick, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Rumor is that we had conversations with Baltimore about Orlando Brown. I think that if that was going to be a move, they would probably require a first-round pick. Is Orlando Brown 25 years old, I believe, $2+ million against the cap. He's got 2 years left on his rookie deal. He played right tackle as a Pro Bowl level for 2 seasons, moved to left tackle in spot duty. Now he wants to be a left tackle. Is he something you would give up a first-round pick for?
I would, because there's a difference between a guy that's rated as a top, maybe one of the top 5 offensive tackles, and then there's the guy who's actually gone out there and played it for a season, and he has no future there because they have a starter that's a young starter. So he either plays right tackle there or they facilitate a trade. Those are really the only options. And I think he's a pretty good kid. He didn't like demand, I'm not going to sit out if you don't find a left tackle team for me. But I think it's in everyone's interest for them to make that deal. I would make that deal right now for the 19th
Number
pick.
19 overall for Orlando Brown.
I would. Mm-hmm.
Well, how many second rounds do we have? 1 or 2?
One.
Just
we have
one.
1 second and 2/3.
2/3. Okay. I'd give the second and Cam Sims up. And I make the joke. Wait. I make the joke about Cam Sims, but I shared an article today with Derek where it said that the Ravens were interested in Cam Sims, and he's on the block. Give up the second. If we could get our second and Cam Sims, done. Buy in. And in the first, I'd probably go about that. I mean, Morgan at right tackle for another season, sure. I'm not confident at all in Charles. Charles needs to earn himself back into here.
I don't even think Charles goes into week 1. If we don't address tackle, I think Lucas is your starter week 1.
You don't think Charles start? Why? Because of injury, or just because of?
No, I think they're grooming Charles to be a guard. I think Charles is Brandon Scherf's replacement. He's an 18, and he costs about $16.5 million less.
Well, it may be that they've already pretty much decided that they're going to take Darisaw, and if that's the case, then why not? Then what would be the benefit of even considering Orlando Brown Jr. in that scenario? Yeah. So that's the other reason they might not be interested.
Were you trying to say something there, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there. So here's a what if scenario. Sheriff leaves next year. I think the writing is on the wall there. Let's say we pick a first round left tackle and we miss on that pick. I'm going to add another layer to it. Let's say we don't get the type of production and the pleasant surprise that we got from a guy like Wes Schweitzer this past season. All of a sudden, we have 3 pretty big holes pretty quickly on our offensive line. So going back to the Orlando Brown thing, would it be wise for our team to possibly consider trading for him? I say so. He's a proven talent. I don't know if I would give up a 1, but there's the possibility that we can have a mess on our line in the blink of an eye. So, I mean, to bring in some proven talent, why not go for it?
I give up a 2 without even thinking about it. A 1 makes me a little apprehensive. I don't think we do anything until after the draft anyways. I don't think anybody does anything. I think pretty much trading is frozen until after the draft now because everybody's going to want to see how the draft shakes out. But that just means you're going to pay more because if 4 teams don't get their left tackle in the draft, now you're in a bidding war. So
if we gave up our 1, I'd want Orlando Brown in their 2 or something along those lines.
Or a 3 or something.
Yeah, I don't a 1 for a player is and John, you're 100% right. He's proven. He's been there. He's made it, and he's done it, and he's proven himself. I that's where I go, maybe, but.
Well, I think the Ravens drafted him, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he was a 3rd round pick. He just outplayed where he was selected, I think. So I think it's going to be hard for them to get a 1 from anybody, but just based on that pedigree. Because once you're drafted at a certain round, it's kind of stuck in GM's minds that I'm not going to give you, 2 rounds
more than what you paid for him. Yeah, I'm not going to let you profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So without further ado, we can probably get rolling here on some of our sleepers. I'm going to tee John up. His first one is Cade Johnson, the wide receiver out of South Dakota State University, and I'll launch up these highlights.
We're going to take a look at some YouTube highlight videos here as we talk. And a hidden gem is what I call them. A hidden gem for me doesn't have to be from an unknown program. They can come from even well-known schools, but they just outperform what anyone anticipated they could do at the NFL level. But I chose to go almost look exclusively at small school guys because I think there's a higher degree of likelihood that a smaller school player is going to be not as well known and be able to be that sleeper kind of a pick. So Cade Johnson is not a huge guy. He's 5'10", 184 pounds, and he's packed on some muscle since his last season in 2019. As Derek said, he's from South Dakota State. He's actually was a walk-on at South Dakota State, so it's really impressive what he did there based on the fact that he wasn't even like a scholarship player. He's a Nebraska boy. His father, Cleaser Johnson, was a two-time national champion with Nebraska in 94, 95 timeframe. His brother also played college football at Wyoming. So football kind of runs in his family. He has very good speed. Has run 4.4 40s. In 2 full seasons from 2018 to 2019, he racked up 140 catches for a 2-season total of more than 2,500 yards and 25 touchdowns. He averaged more than 100 yards per game both seasons, which is really impressive. He was named an FCS All-American after the last season. His lack of size is probably the reason he's not higher up on most draft boards. But again, he has packed on some muscle since his last season. The thing I love about Cade Johnson is he's just really well schooled as a receiver. He's got excellent mechanics. He's got sound technique. He's got soft hands, and he's very well coached. And I think he would be a great slot receiver candidate. I know we think Curtis Samuels is our slot receiver, but I think he's going to do a lot more than that. He'll likely be there for the taking on day 3. It possibly could even be an undrafted free agent. And the other real cool thing about Cade Johnson is he excelled as a special teamer. And we all know that if you don't have a high pedigree coming from a big program, if you can flash on special teams, that gives you a chance to make the team. He played for the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, and he is a Jackrabbit. In 3 seasons as South Dakota State's primary return specialist, he tore up the opposition for almost 1,500 yards. And so he's got wide receiver ability, he's got return specialist ability, and he reminds me a little bit of Santana Moss in him. Santana Moss was a first-round draft pick, as we all know, but he just kind of reminds me of him the way that he can move. So he's definitely one of my favorite guys out there.
I love me some Cade Johnson. That guy's a little spark plug. He's Kadarius Toney light. You know, Toney was at a big name school. He was at Florida. I bet you if Cade Johnson is playing at an SEC school or even a Big Ten school and he's not FCS, I think he's probably a much more highly sought after player, and a lot more people are looking at him because now size is not what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't hardly bump wide receivers. You don't have to worry about someone coming over the middle and blowing them up because it's going to be a penalty. The game's changed. So guys like that, I think that's why we're seeing small ball in a lot of places. You know, people like Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, Curtis Samuel. I mean, could you imagine? Beasley. Right. Adam Humphries. I know those are just guys on our team. Could you imagine like Tyreek Hill, as fast as he is, coming across the middle 15 or 20 years ago? It would have taken one hit, and he's not the same player as he is now. So the game's getting to speed and finesse, and that guy, I like you. I like that pick.
The look of him was a definite. I saw Curtis Samuels in it. When you said that, I went, that's what he's doing. He's doing it, and a McKissick even, you know, a scat back even. Mm-hmm. You can't have enough of those guys, enough of those wild card guys where you can just put them anywhere in the field and someone goes, well, we can't put a linebacker on him. We got to put a corner on him because he's either going deep or across the middle on a slant. And, you know, London Fletcher can't keep up with that guy, unfortunately. And that's one of the problems we always have with London. London was a thumper, but when you put him down the deep with a great receiver, he was just running backwards with his arms up. Right? I mean, it's true. But I love those guys that you can just put them and say, hey, man, we need to play here. And he just goes get you 15, 20 yards in a minute. I dig that. Whether it's on a punt return, end around, or a slant, or down the sideline, he looked like he had it all.
He would immediately be the best return guy we've had in 5 years. I mean, like as a rookie.
What? You're not sold on Steven Sims? Come on, man.
He just needs one more year. That's all.
One more year.
Yeah. So go ahead, Bob.
Electricity and excitement. When I watched that video, or when I was watching those clips, those were the two words that came to mind. And I don't know about you guys, but I know as a WFT fan, for quite some time, we've been completely starved in terms of electricity and excitement on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, anybody who can come in to give us a bit of that juice, all the better.
Absolutely.
And that's what Ron loves. You can tell Ron loves that type of play. Or
Versatility, matchup nightmares. With Ron, I think positions are just a depth chart thing, and that's just what the roster you put in the program on Sunday. I don't think position matters to him. It's weapons, and that's all he cares about.
Because McKissick ain't on the field, you now got Samuels and Kay Johnson in. It's the same threat. It's the same threat. You can't sleep. You can't take like, all right, they're going to run it on this play because McKissick's not and they got Gibson in. You might still get caught on that.
Well, you mean when Jeremy Sprinkle comes in and it's a run play? I'm just saying.
Watch him score a touchdown against us next year.
We officially don't have to talk about Jeremy Sprinkle. Nice guys.
No, twice a year we have to talk. Twice a year we have to talk about him when we have to scout the Dallas Cowboys.
He did post a really classy tweet to Washington fans, so I give him credit for that.
He's a great guy. He just couldn't catch a cold. Yeah. Anyways, on to Paul's first shot here. We're gonna go Chris Evans.
All right.
Running back out of Michigan. And full disclosure, so we don't hit trademark issues. All videos will be linked in the description. These are not our videos. We are using YouTube videos, public forum. All the links will be provided in the description of the YouTube tape, so everybody can follow them and go check them out for themselves, and proper props given to the people who have spent a lot of time putting these together. So with no further ado.
Derek's in trouble.
No, I'm not in trouble. It's going to be BGO's in trouble.
All right. So Chris Evans is a guy that I chose as a sleeper, hidden gem type, not necessarily because he's unheard of. Obviously, you can see from the video that, he played for a pretty big time college program at Michigan. But I chose him as that hidden gem sleeper type because he's basically been off the football radar for over 2 seasons now. And I think he's got a little bit of that forgotten man element to him. Reasons being that in the 2019 season, prior to his junior year, he got suspended for academic issues. And while he sat out that year, he apparently did all the right things while he was away for the game for that lost season. And he returned in 2020 for his senior year in hopes of having a big time comeback that year. But for whatever reason, he got lost on the depth chart in a logjam of Michigan running backs. And in fact, in his senior year, he only managed 16 carries. So essentially, we're talking about a guy here who's had 16 total carries in his final 2 college football seasons of eligibility. He got invited to the Senior Bowl, managed to get a Senior Bowl invite, not based on production, obviously, but based on talent. And he even suffered some bad luck there with a hamstring injury. It kept him out of actually participating in the game. So again, there's really been no film on this guy in over 2 years. But if we go back to his freshman and his sophomore years, there's certainly a lot of production to be intrigued by. He averaged 7 yards per carry as a freshman, rushing for 614 yards in his inaugural year. As a sophomore, he accumulated 842 yards from scrimmage. And as you can see from some of the clips there, he certainly flashed a little bit of big play and home run ability in multiple games, in particular one during his sophomore year where he went for 191 yards against Minnesota on only 13 carries. He's got a lot of strengths. He's got a lot of things that you like in his game. He's really good in space. He's got some really good burst. He's got some good vision on his runs, and he's got some nice cutting ability. Out of the backfield, he's considered to have some really good strengths as a smooth route runner. And as we all know, the NFL certainly values running backs who can catch the ball now and beat defenders one-on-one. He's versatile. We keep coming back to this word versatility, I swear, in every single podcast that we've done.
It's what they want. It's pretty obvious.
That's right. He could be that receiver out of the backfield. You can line him up in the slot. He's got really good hands. He catches the ball, and I really, really like that he wastes no time getting upfield. So there's not really a lot of wasted movement there. He's got that 3-down potential as well, kind of in that Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara role mold. I'm not saying he's those guys, but same type of player, so to speak, with that 3-down potential. And he's, again, that positionless player potential. He certainly seems like the type of guy that Scott Turner would value. So all in all, I like Chris Evans because he could fill that backup role to Antonio Gibson, and he can even provide some depth for McKissick as our 3rd-down pass catcher and have that receiving role out of the backfield. So in my opinion, sleeper success is often driven by hunger. There should be no player more hungry in this draft than Chris Evans. He had a really, really promising start to his college career, and it basically came crashing down to a halt for him. There's been a lot of adversity that he's had to deal with, and you would anticipate that this type of hunger would fuel the fire, so to speak, for him moving forward. I can see a team taking a chance on him really late, and I think he can legitimately carve out a role and make a contribution to an NFL team this coming fall. And I personally would be thrilled if it was on our team. So that's what I got for Chris Evans.
So the one thing I noticed when I watch him run is he's definitely really decisive. Like you don't see, there's no like dancing in the backfield or looking to see whether a hole's going to open up. He just goes. I mean, he's just like right at the hole or right at the corner. And I have to say, I admire his Taylor Heineke like dive for the end zone on that one play.
Well, see, we know Mike's not going to say anything good about him because Mike's a big Ohio State guy.
Yeah.
So that
I would have left him out if I would have known Mike was joining us tonight.
Right. I'll tell you what. I'm definitely curious on who his O-line is too, because they're putting some hog type holes out there for him. He's got good decisive moves, but he's got some good holes running through. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That dude put him down. He's got 15, 20 yards in front. And look at him. He's got great moves. And there's that burst you're talking about.
Yeah.
I respect. I mean, listen, he won't be Michigan when he comes.
Oh, hey, look, special teams too.
There you go. I mean, you can't hate on a guy that's fast. And like John said, he's decisive. We have too many of these guys that get up to the line and try and dance and look for a hole. Hit the hole and go, man. Hit the hole and go. This is where you dance.
Right. Yeah, buddy. I like it. I like Chris Evans because I think a lot of people are discounting the fact that we're going to need to add another running back. Lamar Miller, I'm not confident with him being, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, Bryce Love, again, I'm not confident. John talked about this on the last podcast when we were looking at potential draft running backs. And I think running back is a sneaky, I don't want to say need, but it's definitely one of those sneaky places that Rivera and Turner could look at and say, you know what, we can get some serious upgrade here, and we can do it at an inexpensive cost, and we can add another weapon. Because what better can you? I mean, let's be real here. You can't. What team has 4 running backs that you could trust with the ball? You know, and if you can get that, and all 4 of them can give you meaningful time and contribute, I mean, that's valuable. That's value using all 53 spots on your roster.
Especially when you've got Barber and Miller both on their last year of their contract. So I mean, you're basically looking at, you've got Bryce Love, who probably isn't going to be in the mix after this offseason. I don't think he will be, it'd be nice to be wrong. But we're not going to have much a year from now unless they extend those guys.
Right.
Bryce Love has never touched the field, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Lamar Miller has never touched the field.
Lamar Miller
has
played one game in the last 2 seasons.
And I think he had a couple special team snaps, right?
With us?
He's almost 30 though. I mean, and we know that's pretty long in the tooth for a running back.
Wait, Lamar Miller had snaps for us?
I think
not for us. But in the last 2 seasons, he's only had one running back start.
Because
he's only dressed for one game.
Why did we sign a running back when Gibson got hurt that's not even suiting up? But
I think
we have to have somebody because Barber, look, I like Barber, but he's a fullback. Let's stop playing. He's the lead back. He should be the running back going through the hole, or the 3rd and 1 where you get the 2 yards that you need. Gibson was asked to handle way too much as a rookie, and he did it as best he could. He's got to have relief, and Chris Evans could be that guy. He could be. Bryce Love's not that guy. Lamar Miller's not that guy. McKissick is Chris Thompson in the backfield. If you run Chris Thompson up the gut, you're getting stuck. That's just the way it is.
At the end of the day, I can see a pick at running back being the type of pick that a lot of fans would moan and groan about. But I think the thing that we sometimes need to remember, and that we sometimes tend to forget in the draft, is that a lot of the successful teams and a lot of the premier teams do a really good job of succession planning. And when you think of teams like the Green Bay Packers, a lot of times they make picks at positions which aren't necessarily a need at that particular moment, but they're looking ahead. They're looking ahead at the fact and saying, okay, this is eventually going to become an issue for us. Let's do that succession planning, and let's, set ourselves up well for the future. So I can see a running back pick being one that a lot of people aren't high on, but at the end of the day, it might be a smart move too.
Well, we're probably not done talking about running backs. I'm just saying. So
Probably not. So
I will out there, isn't he?
Who?
John's favorite person.
I will jump on the screen here, and this guy has the same nickname as our favorite wide receiver currently on the Washington football team. His nickname is Scary Terry. This is Marion Terry, the wide receiver from Florida State. When you watch these clips, I just want you to look at the explosion that this guy plays with. 6'2". I've seen him anywhere from 6'2" to 6'4", anywhere from 205 to 220, depending on where you look. Best I could get, he was 6'3", 207. He had a 4.48 40-yard dash. On the 3 premier sites that I use, between Mock Draft Database, PFN, which is Pro Football Network, and the Draft Network, he was ranked 154th, 183rd, and 232nd, respectively, overall. In 2020, he had 9 touchdowns. On those 9 touchdowns, his average yards per catch was 59.7 yards. So on those 9 catches, that's what? Almost 500 yards of receiving on 9 catches for touchdowns. The guy, when he gets the ball in space, it is scary how capable he is of breaking tackles and how good he is at leaving people behind. He does not get caught. So I'm watching his high. I couldn't believe he was getting ranked. People are saying he could go 5th or 6th round. He's also, and if you watch these clips, not afraid to take a hit. I've noticed he has fantastic hands, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he hits it. He gets hit, and he holds on to it. It's not just beating defenders. He's willing to take the sideline. He's willing to go over the middle. And the only concerns I could find with him is he's got inconsistent route running. Needs a little bit of polishing his technique, which you can do, especially on the NFL level. And then on top of that, he just needs to work on his blocking a little bit, which again, wide receivers coming out of college, especially in spread formations, generally aren't premier blockers. That's a diamond in the rough when you find a guy who's willing to go heads up. Look at that catch right there. The hands, sorry, I'm going to rewind it real quick so that everybody at home can see that one. The hands on this catch blew me away when he was able to hold on to that football through the tackle and ended up going down. So I'm looking at a guy like him who can take over within a year the number 2 spot so that you can use Terry, you can use Curtis Samuel and move them around and let this guy be on the outside, be the vertical threat when you need him to be the vertical threat, go over the middle, play some of the hard yards. He's not as big as a body as I would like, but at 6'2", 6'3", 210, he could stand to put on 8 to 10 pounds of, NFL muscle, which is clearly different than college muscle. And I think this guy could be something. He could turn some serious heads once he got in the NFL.
Well, that's a good segue into what I was going to say about him, because one thing you notice is he's that over the shoulder ability he has to, he never breaks stride on any of those deep balls. He seems to like know where he is on the field and know where the ball is. And he just looks really seamless and honed in on the ball every time. You don't see any of that like awkward trying to locate the ball or trying to adjust his body. He just goes. And
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of watching him, and he always seems to be behind the corner.
Yeah.
I'm watching his speed, and you said he ran a 4.48.
Yeah.
That must be like combine jitters or something, because that's for a wide receiver. 4.48 is kind of slow. He's behind every cornerback that I see him on. Whenever he's going on the sideline, they're catching up to him, and he's in stride.
And explosive, like that play right there. That's Clemson.
Yeah, right. That's not 4.48 speed.
No, but I think the thing with him though is that he might not have track speed, but he has gain speed. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those types that if you measured him, it doesn't seem like he's going that fast. But when the lights are on, when the balls and when pads are on, he's not only is he capable of getting to speed quickly, he maintains it, and he does it when like that kind of catch right there. That's what we've been missing on the sidelines. And we wanted it with like Josh Doxson, but Josh Doxson didn't have this kind of speed.
Or brain.
Or brain. Or hands.
Or talent. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, he's already separated from that guy. That's Florida. That's not Alcorn State. That's Florida. He was separated.
This one right here got me too. UVA, he gets planted and holds on to the football. I mean, he got this one too. He gets flipped again, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that one
Yeah, I'm good on him.
And if we can get him at 5th or 6th, I love it.
Yeah.
I like that kind of player as well, that vertical threat, because when you think of who we have right now who could potentially fill that vertical threat role, it's your Gandy Goldens, it's your Cam Sims, it's maybe Kelvin Harmon. All those three guys that could be argued need a little bit of a push. Harmon from the injury aspect or injury front and coming back from an injury. Gandy Golden obviously flopped as a rookie. And I mean, Cam Sims, he's inconsistent. So that part of our receiving
and maybe getting
core,
traded.
Yeah, that part of our receiving core, those guys need a push. Bringing in a body like that, I think could be useful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Healthy competition's always, it either makes you or breaks you. And if it breaks you, well, he's got your spot. Or we end up with 5 great wide receivers. and that would be even better.
Embarrassment, yeah. Think about it good point. Think about this. How barren were we with Brandon Marshall as a starting wide receiver and Terrell Pryor as a starting wide receiver for this team? And where have we?
I had
look at where we are
my
now.
memory. Thanks a lot for that. I had finally purged my memory.
Look where we are now compared to back then. And where
it goes back before, it goes way further back than that. I mean, I interviewed Taylor Jacobs. I know the pain of Washington trying to find starting receivers. It's not
all right. On to John. John, this is your guy, right?
Yeah. So I told you that we were not done talking about running backs. So I'm going to talk about Jermaine Martin, who's a running back from, believe it or not, one of my alma maters. I got a degree at well, 2 bachelor's degrees, so it's kind of like almost like having a master's. But he's a North Carolina A&T State University player, right around down the road from me. He's from actually Conway, South Carolina. And he started out at Coastal Carolina and then transferred to the Aggies. He's 5'10", 215 pounds, 4.4 speed. In 2018, he averaged 6.9 yards a carry and 55 yards per game, but then he kind of exploded in 2019. He averaged 7.7 yards per carry, 121 yards per game. He had the 4th highest average in the nation that year. He finished 2019, he racked up 1,446 yards over 12 games and rushed for 23 touchdowns. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tariq Cohen, but Tariq Cohen is a big-time NFL running back who also came from North Carolina A&T, and he broke all of his records at A&T in 2019. And the Aggies didn't play a season in 2020, so we don't have any numbers from 2020. He's not a big guy, but he is compact. He's kind of like a bowling ball. He's compact and strong, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid of contact. You'll see him stiff arming guys and lowering his shoulder and driving guys backwards as he's being tackled. But what I like most about him is he's super patient. Like you'll never see him outrun his blockers. He just has the ability to sense the hole, and then he's got like a fourth gear that he goes into, and he has a really good burst in vision. He doesn't have the greatest straight line speed, I think, in a track meet, but he has that lateral quickness, is probably the best way I can put it, that you don't see in a lot of running backs. He's very quick feet and he's very shifty. The only thing about Jermaine Martin is I think he caught 8 passes and he probably had 12 balls thrown at him during his career. A&T is a running back school. They don't do a lot of passing, especially to running backs. So we really I don't know whether he can fill that role or not. I'm not saying he can't. He just wasn't asked to do it in college, and so we just don't know. But I think he is scary good and could be a real late round pickup.
I like it.
All right. So I'm going to jump in here and say, I don't want to pick him up too late. This guy right here, 2 things come to mind. That's Jones Drew and Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch is Marshawn Lynch is the guy that I saw too.
2, look at the size of his butt and his thighs.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Now, that's what you look at when you look for strength and you look at people that can push people and run fast.
Yeah.
Look at the size of his thighs and his butt.
Yeah,
Mike, I'm looking at the defenders because I don't think any of them want a piece of him. That's what
he threw one guy down and he's breaking big long runs here. That to me is man. I hope people are sleeping on him, but I'm watching him. I'm going to watch for him because that dude would be someone that could, and we don't really need a running back that can catch. We have like 150 people on this team right now that can catch. Deron Payne's catching passes. Like we don't need other people.
Yeah.
We can have this dude just tackle me if you can.
He'd be a hell of a replacement for Peyton Barber.
I was going to say, this is the heir apparent to Barber. This is the guy that comes into camp and says, 3rd and 1, I'll give you 4, and I'm going to do it carrying a defensive tackle on my back. Let's just get it done, whatever means possible.
And the thing about it being, you're saying they don't throw the ball much to the running back. When he's in there, they're keying on a run and they're not stopping him. When he's in there, he's running the ball and you're still not able to stop him. And that line's okay, but he's having to make some movement. He's just fast.
He's got speed, man.
That man got some speed on him.
Yeah, that's another guy just like Terry that he might not put it on camera on film when when he's in his underwear running a straight line down the track, but when he's got the football in his hand, there's some explosion there. I like it.
Rivera's always
Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry. Rivera's always valued that power and having a bit of thunder in your lineup. When you think back to Jonathan Stewart, for instance, in Carolina, this guy here reminds me like he can give you a bit of that thunder and a little bit of that power that you need to win games in December.
Absolutely. And you put him in there with Gibson, you can make him a lead blocker for Gibson. But you don't know who's going to end up with the ball. It could be a quick handoff to him or a quick handoff or a delayed handoff to Gibson. Or
Gibson runs that way, breaks outside the flat. And then what are you doing? Chasing him?
Yeah, I think that dude's 3rd round. That maybe. Yeah.
Where's he projected, John?
I think late, 5th to 7th round. It's hard to know. I know, like Kay Johnson has been shooting up. I'm seeing his name all over the place now.
Yeah, he's getting.
So I think there's certain sleepers that they start getting some hype and they start moving up. I haven't heard a lot about Jermaine Martin.
I left one sleeper off. Cameron McGrone, I left off of here because one site had him ranked as high as 42, and at that point he's not a sleeper. When you're talking top half of the 2nd round, you're not a sleeper anymore. But I think he was getting slept on for a long time. So up next is Paul. We're gonna roll.
On, Paul. Give me a thumper.
Pro Wells.
Yeah. So we're going to go tight end here. So one of the things that I considered for sleepers is opportunity. So if a team has a specific weakness or Achilles heel or need, and you bring in a guy who can fill that, then that's a good opportunity for them to succeed. So this sleeper that I'm going to talk about, I largely chose him because I think he jives with one of the yearly weak spots in our team. And when I talk about this yearly weak spot, I'm talking about red zone efficiency. So for a long time, we've really been searching for dependable red zone targets when we're forced to pass the football for a score. A year ago, we ranked 23rd in the NFL in red zone touchdowns per game. We had 1.8. When you compare that to the 4 conference championship finalists from last year, Green Bay, Tampa, Buffalo, and Kansas City, they were 1st, 5th, 6th, and 11th in the NFL respectively in this category. In fact, Washington ranked last of all the teams who qualified for the playoffs in 2020 in this statistical category, that being red zone touchdowns per game. Improving in this area would go a long way towards improving our overall offensive effectiveness, obviously. Outside of Logan Thomas last year, who had 6 touchdown passes in the red zone, we basically got no production from anybody else. McLaurin, McKissick, and Sims Jr. had 1 touchdown each, and Dontrell Inman had 2. We need bodies that we can lean on in the red zone. Pro Wells might be one of those bodies. So when I talk about this guy, I basically think that he can contribute to red zone effectiveness. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. He's got an NFL build and he's athletic. He's got that basketball background that is becoming quite popular with tight ends. He was originally supposed to go to Marshall University for a basketball and football scholarship. And we've seen many guys with that basketball background succeed at the NFL level, whether we're talking about Antonio Gates or Jimmy Graham or what have you. He originally went the JUCO route, so he joined TCU in 2018, and he was relatively new to the position. His final 2 years at TCU, he only had 30 catches for 391 yards, but he had 8 touchdowns. So the stats and production don't necessarily jump out at you, but when you dig a little bit deeper, this guy averaged 1 touchdown every 3.75 receptions in college while splitting time with other guys at tight end at Texas Christian. In 2019, he had 5 touchdowns on 17 receptions. 30% of his receptions accounted for touchdown scores. There were 4 tight ends in 2020 in the NFL who were in the top 10 in NFL red zone touchdowns. And this could be the type of role that that becomes Pro Wells' bread and butter in the NFL. He's a viable red zone target. He's got some nice hands. He's got pretty decent hops on those jump balls. He's got pretty good yard after catch ability. He had 15 yards per reception in 2020. He's a big body target that you can flex in the slot that can maybe play that hybrid tight end wide receiver role. So again, versatility. And he's a good fit for a modern game where you need that versatility and where it's paramount. He's got that toughness element. He can break tackles. I know he only had 13 receptions in 2020, but he broke tackles on 5 of those 13 receptions. So I think he gives our team a little bit in terms of what he could offer in the red zone. He's intriguing because he's got athletic ability, and I think he has some untapped potential. And I know I spoke about it in the last podcast, but even though the numbers don't jump out at you about this guy, I think he could potentially be another one of those projects that our tight end coach, Pete Honer, works his magic with. So that's what I have on Wells.
That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
I love the red zone stats that you had, man. That's really telling. I think we all kind of anecdotally know that what the hell are we going to do when we get down to the red zone? I mean, I know that's how we all feel. It's like to find a way to get in the end zone because we don't have a real plan. So I think that's definitely a need.
I like it. And that's the play that it stands out to me in the red zone was we were playing Philly. Logan Thomas goes over the middle. There's 3 Eagles around him, and Alex Smith threw it to about the goalpost, and it was just Thomas's hands up, and he grabbed it, and that it was like we need more of that. And I don't know if it needs to come from Thomas. I don't care who it comes from. If it comes from a secondary tight end like Wells, so that you can line Thomas up on the end on one side, Wells on the other. You can move Samuel around. You can do a lot of things with the offense to get your man-to-man coverage, so that guy's got a 5'10" cornerback on him, and then you just say, just go out there and I'm gonna put it higher than the guy can reach, and you just go get it. So that is definitely something we've been missing a lot.
Yeah, we also need the opponent's head coach to bench the starting quarterback in the fourth quarter as often as possible.
Well, that helps. That definitely helps.
My X factor is Thaddeus Moss. I thought he was going to be something. He seems to be just nothing. There's nothing on the radar at all. Like, there's no articles, no nothing about him.
He's coming off IR, so I think they just don't know. I mean, the coaches may have an idea of what they have, but I don't think anybody else seems to know whether he's going to be a.
But that was a weird IR. Like, there was not like, it wasn't like, oh, Thad Moss is gonna have surgery, or
like they,
he went out and he ran with trainers for 4 or 5 days and he had a regression, so we're gonna bench. No, it was just random. It was okay, now he's on the IR and we're gonna go on living life without him, and it was just strange.
We definitely need Logan to have someone to come in for him or come in alongside of him to take some pressure off of him, because he's the only guy. And Logan studded up last year, but they're going to game plan for him this year. Now they're going to be aware of him. So we have to have something to throw him off again. And that dude had some good moves. He had some good moves and some good hops, and really, he had really strong hands, it felt like.
Yep.
So I'll use that segue to give you the perfect option opposite Logan Thomas as my tight end sleeper pick. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Kenny Yeboah, who, if you'll remember, was in the BGO mock draft that we did voting on the site, actually ended up getting drafted by BGO members. Kenny Yeboah, he's out of Ole Miss, 6'4", 247 pounds. Now, he did not complete a 40-yard dash because he was having a hamstring issue. So he did not participate at his pro day. Currently, the websites I use, Mock Draft Database has him ranked number 176. PFN, Pro Football Network, has him 138, which is a 4th-round pick. The Draft Network has him 166. This guy is a big-time pass catcher. Like, he is a pass-catching specialist. I've seen Mike mentioned strong hands. He can flat out be a receiver. The question with him is his blocking ability. The other question is he kind of plays at one speed. There's no second gear. He gets the ball and he runs fast. When he's in open space, he still just runs fast. He doesn't, he can't turn it on. But when you're 6'4", 247 pounds, I don't know how many gears you can have in the bank there. You kind of can only go at one speed. But watching him, I'm really impressed with his ability to finish. I'm really impressed with his ability to outrun linebackers and safeties. Now, DBs are going to be able to run him down. But again, he's 6'4", 247. And I am extremely impressed with his awareness. If you watch him, he can play the ball well in the air. He's got really good ball skills. He's got good hands. He seems to high point the ball well. So as a receiver, he is a top tier guy. I'm not bringing this guy in to be Jeremy Sprinkle. He's not going to be an inline blocker. This guy is simply going to be a receiving threat. But when he does it, he does this. That's Alabama. That's not Central Michigan, okay? He just outran the entire Alabama defense. So there's something there when it comes to just a 68-yard reception by a tight end. I mean, the skill set is there.
Figuring out twice how to get behind Bama's defense like that. He got behind them on 2 different plays right there. That's quality.
Yeah, he looks super athletic. And I'm kind of the belief that we may never have another big giant blocking tight end, but it just seems like the NFL's moving away from that, and college players aren't really using college teams don't seem to use their tight ends as much for that. Like Freiermuth is a good blocker, but I haven't really seen a lot of hype about great blocking tight ends in this draft class. So I've kind of let that part go. I would love to have that guy, but I I just don't know where they are anymore.
Yeah, Clint Didier's long gone. I met him at a Sears once. He walked in a trucker hat, and I was working in the paint department. He walked up, and I just went, and he goes, "Yes, I'm Clint Didier. How are you doing?" And I'm like, yeah.
All right, John, I think you got one more that you wanted to highlight, right?
Yeah, this is actually my favorite guy. And his name is Michael Strawn. It's spelled Strachan, but it's pronounced Strawn. Michael Strawn's a wide receiver from the University of Charleston, West Virginia, but he hails from a little place called Freeport in the Bahamas. So he grew up in the Bahamas. He did play American football in the Bahamas. Who knew there was such a thing? But
I didn't know there was an island big enough to have a field on it.
yeah,
Wow.
he obviously was not well known prior to college, and then of course he chose a small Division II school program. But I wanted to read you guys his pro day numbers. He's 6'5", 228 pounds, has an 85-inch wingspan, 10-inch hands, ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, and put up 225 pounds 20 times. He's a super athlete. He was also a track star and field athlete at Charleston. He broke the school 400-meter record. He won the conference title at 400 meters. And if you know anything about track and field, I mean, you got to be a stud if you're running 400 meters. As far as his football accomplishments, he had over 1,000 yards receiving in 2018, and in his 2019 season, Strong 78 passes. He caught 78 passes for 1,319 yards and 19 touchdowns, average 17.
Hold on. Did you see that clip? Hold on. Did you see that? Oh, watch this. I'm sorry, John. I don't.
You're laughing at it.
I'm sorry. Watch. He drags this guy like 6 yards. Watch this. Come on, man. Come on. Let's go. Come on.
Oh, that's his highlight.
Sorry, John. Go ahead.
Is Sandra Bullock in this scene?
Right. Run the dang ball.
Anyway, in 2019, he caught 78 passes, 1,300 plus yards, 19 touchdowns, averaged 17 yards per reception, 120 receiving yards per game he averaged. And he's been described by one scout I saw as a muscle and maul receiver. And some teams are projecting him as a tight end at the NFL level, although he's never played tight end. And the thing I love about him is he's got those excellent jump ball skills, kind of like Pro Wells showed a little bit of. His quarterback said if you throw it within 10 yards of him in the air, he's going to come down with it 9 times out of 10. So I think the most exciting thing about him is his physical size, but also the fact that I think he's got a high ceiling because he played for a small school, wasn't in a football dominated culture growing up. So I think he could probably get quite a bit better with good coaching. He's a beast.
I like that guy. I love that clip. You know what that reminded me of is Clinton Portis grabbing Mike Sellers' jersey and riding him into the end zone against the Cardinals. That was one of my favorite clips ever. That was awesome.
That's 2 winners right there, John. That dude that has some stud in him, man. 6'5" with 10-inch hands. Oh.
What you don't know with all these guys, and this is why none of us are professional scouts. We're just on a Zoom channel.
Keyboard GM.
You don't know. You can't really factor in. We can look at the competition. All these guys have less competition, right? As far as the quality of the defenders or the offensive guys they're playing against, but you can't really tell which of these guys are where it's going to translate at the NFL level, where they really are as good as they look, versus when you put them out there with guys that are almost as good as they are, they suddenly look average. That's the tough part about it, I think.
Right. Are they the Terrell Owens and the Jerry Rices that go to these unknown schools, but are catching bricks with their hands with their dad in the summer? Or are they the studs that are playing against Alabama? Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I will say that one thing, when you're looking at these smaller schools, specifically these studs, one thing you look for is they've got to be the best guy on the field. That's number one. If they're the best guy on the field and it's by far, okay, well, now we can start talking. If they blend in, then that's when you're like, but when a guy like that, who's just like, I'm sure that coach is just, when they go into meetings, they've got the big whiteboard and they just circle him and say, get him the ball, find a way so it's man to man, because there's nobody on that team that can beat him. And let's just, put it out there and do what we got to do.
So I think we gotta have some kind of an agreement that if any of these guys happen to get drafted, which we know it's probably a long shot, somebody's got to have some beer or bourbon or chocolate milk or whatever you prefer coming their way.
100%. We'll have a post-draft podcast, and we're gonna have to do like confetti or something. Because
dude, I don't think your two guys don't get drafted. I'm not gonna lie.
No, by us. By us.
Yeah, by us. Yeah.
Yeah, your running back is going third round at the max, I think. That dude was stud, and he's built like a running back, and he ran like a running back.
Yeah. Well, you just never know. That's this is going to be a crazy draft to watch.
All right,
so you got 20 days away from it. I think 20 days, something like that.
20 days. It's 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today, so we're 21.
Yeah.
All right, you ready there, Paul?
I am. Yes.
Warren Jackson.
Yes. So my last guy is a wide receiver, Warren Jackson, out of Colorado State. And he kind of fits the theme of the night. As I've been listening to people talk, we've been having a lot of common themes, and one of them is size and the other is athleticism. This guy goes 6'6", 219 pounds. There was one article that I read where one of his family members claims that he's up to 225 pounds. So, I mean, the guy is just massive for the wide receiver position. He had a breakout junior season. He went off at Colorado State for 77 receptions, 1,119 yards and 8 touchdowns during his junior year. And he played in that junior year in his final 6 games with a sprained AC joint. So he played a fairly significant part of the season injured and still was able to produce at a high level. He opted out of the 2020 season. So much like Chris Evans, we have a guy here who basically has been out of football for a while. It's basically been 15 months for him since he's been able to put any sort of game tape together. There's a lot of strengths to like. In a similar vein to some of the other receivers that we've looked at, he's a vertical threat. He's very difficult to cover in those jump ball situations. He's obviously going to be a size mismatch at 6'6". He gives you some red zone potential, and I already spoke about our inefficiencies in the red zone. He can certainly help in that regard. He's got a really good ability to judge the ball in the air, as you can see from some of these clips. He does a nice job of high pointing it, and he can catch the ball in traffic, which is useful. He's able to absorb hits. So he's got that toughness element to him, and he shows good focus and concentration to catch the ball in the process of getting hit. He's got some good strength after the catch, some pretty decent body control. If you watch closely, he shows some pretty good footwork. He makes some really nice cuts that allow him to maintain separation from the defender. And basically, if you give this guy a chance or an opportunity to make a play in a one-on-one situation, he's going to do it. He's a 50-50 ball winner. And if you put him up against some smaller defensive backs, he's basically a little bit of a cheat code. He takes pride in blocking. He had 10 plus knockdowns while blocking in the 2019 season. Critics claim that he might not be able to fare well against press coverage in the NFL, and that's one of the questions and concerns regarding him. One of the things that I really liked in learning about this guy is that he just seems to have a passion for playing football. He's been applauded by his coaches for his work ethic, in particular during his junior year where he went off and really broke through. He's got a passion for the game. He's a kid that loves football. There were some anecdotes and stories that I read about him as a child, just constantly running around with his football helmet on and crashing into the couch. And you need a little bit of that passion to succeed at the highest level. I read some interviews with him as well regarding his pro day, and he really seemed to show in those interviews that he appreciates the magnitude of the opportunity that is ahead for him in the NFL draft. And that's nice to see, because unfortunately, there are times when we have guys who go pro that really don't know how fortunate they are, and occasionally they let it wash all away. And I think this guy has his head on his shoulders. He's got his head screwed on straight, and I think he could be driven to achieve some success. So all in all, he's intriguing to me because he connects with the team need, that being that big-bodied wide receiver. He mirrors the profile of some of the other big-bodied wide receivers on our roster, like Harmon, Gandy Golden, and Sims. When I read the scouting reports on those guys and I compared them to Warren Jackson's scouting report, they're pretty similar. So could he be a guy at the very least who can come in and push these types of receivers on our roster and potentially seize an opportunity? That's a question to be asked. But I mean, his size is obviously very, very intriguing and eye-catching. And, I think he could potentially have a future in the league. We'll see what happens.
This is Andre the Giant at WrestleMania. You have a bunch of guys running around, and then here's this guy that's bigger than everybody, and it's not even close.
He kind of reminds me of Plaxico Burris a little bit, the way
A little bit.
body type.
A little bit. I can see that.
His route running is crisp. I mean, he's juking fools before the ball's even in the air, and just that's why he's so wide open, because his routes are just amazing.
And he's got good hands. He uses his hands real well. I noticed that every time he's going out, he's kind of got that. I hate to use this name, but he was notorious for it. But that Michael Irvin about him, where he could do that subtle, like, kind of let me move you a little bit, but not make it obvious.
He just got hit by two guys right there, shook it off, and got the touchdown. The guy is tough. He might be lanky for his size, but he's tough. And I noticed also a lot of these sideline catches, he's getting 2 feet down. I look for that in college players when they make these big circus catches. If they only get 1 foot down for the touchdown, I go, yeah, that's a college touchdown. But he's getting 2 feet down. This is another one that where is he ranked on draft? Like, he's third day to me.
Yeah, there were a lot of things I read. There were a lot of things I read that had him ranked like, beyond the 25th best receiver in the draft type thing.
Damn, there's a lot of good wide receivers because that boy good. That boy real good.
I like it. I like that.
That was a good pick. That was a very good pick.
So I'm gonna hit you guys real quick. I know we're getting near the end of it. I'm gonna give you guys kind of a twofer here. Well, a threefer. I've got one I want to show you now. I'll be real quick on this guy, and then I want to move on. So my next pick is a guy named Brandon Smith. Okay, wide receiver out of Iowa, because they're a prolific passing offense, and they know what they're doing there. He, just for reference, 6'2", 225. He ran a 4.5 640. But this is not where he's going to make his money. I'll show you where he's going to make his money. This is Brandon Smith at the EAC Combine or whatever it is.
You're not gonna recommend him for the dance team, are you? I mean, this is football we're talking about.
This guy, this right here, he hit a 43-inch and a 44-inch vert. That is 99th percentile. If he had done that at the combine, he would have been 4th highest ever. The guy has the ability to go up like I've never seen before. So now I will.
Red zone.
Dude, beyond just red zone.
Or special teams. Put him on punt coverage.
Where's that?
Send him in there to block the punt.
No, that's not it. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
Can't drive and shoot them at the same time.
Yeah,
and by the way, I'm a little insulted that you said that, we're not track and field guys. I don't look track and field to you? I mean, I am svelte.
So this highlight package is literally called Mossed. This is the kind of catch this guy makes on a regular basis. These are the hands he has. So watching his highlight package, again, Mike, this is where you come sideline, getting both feet down, being able to catch the ball at 100 miles an hour and not lose focus, being able to play the ball in the air.
Yeah, that's Penn State too.
Yeah, this is Penn. He has some of the strongest hands through the catch. Holds on to the ball. The ball does not move.
Look at that.
Look, there's no movement. There's no way. You know what I mean? There's no wasted movement in his ability to change direction. When he gets open, he gets really open. The problem is some of the separation questions, because he did run a 4.56 40. So he's not going to blow by your NFL cornerback. It's just not going to happen. Where he's going to win is the matchups. Where he's going to win is being able to the contested catch. And as you guys mentioned, that red zone efficiency. See, you got both feet down without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I originally looked into him 2.5 months ago, when we started this process, I thought he was a sleeper and they had him in the 4th round. He's now being rated at Mock Draft Database, has him 328th as an undrafted free agent. Pro Football Network has him 211, and then the Draft Network has him 263. You're talking 7th round here. Easy. And I'm watching him catch the football, track the football, play the football as well, and fight through contested catches as anybody I've seen in college football, and it's not even close. He can change direction. When he has the ball in his hand, he can explode and get past the defensive back, but he's not going to win a race in the 40. He's not going to get you out in the open and run 65 to 70 yards without getting run from behind. But he will go over the middle. He will be that possession guy. He'll take any catch you throw at him. He'll do it, and he'll stand up and he'll flex doing it. You know what I mean? He's not afraid of contact, and he doesn't run away from people. He's perfectly content taking the big hit, but securing the catch. There, he just stayed in bounds, gets an extra 4 yards. So while he's not the fastest guy, I haven't seen hands on a guy like this in a long time. Look, over the guy's back. He does it regularly. That's like the 5th or 6th highlight that we've seen like this. So back to like the need, as Paul was pointing out, red zone capability to win in the red zone. This is the kind of guy I think that can do it. You don't need him to run 80. I need him to catch it 17 yards downfield, beat the defender or the DB or the safety or the linebacker to a spot, go get the ball, score a touchdown.
What's his size?
He's 6'2", 225.
Put 10 pounds on him. He's our new tight end.
Mhm.
You're not
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson's not covering him anyway out the backfield.
Right.
Actually, Patrick Peterson is covering him because the McLaurin's free. Then you know what I mean, like 4, 5, 6. He's gonna get a strong safety. He's gonna beat a strong safety. He's better than them.
Well, I don't know how aggressively Rivera and Turner are going to be looking for wide receivers. I don't know. I guess it depends on whether they think guys like Cam Sims are long-term answers, or they're going to give Steven Sims another go, or Inman or whoever. But it's pretty amazing the quality of, when we were talking about guys, a lot of these guys could go undrafted, and the quality of the wide receivers that are well past day 2. It's pretty amazing, really.
This is what kills me when everybody's like, "Oh, get a playmaker in round 1. Look, wide receiver." If we take a wide receiver in round 1, I might get upset. You know what I mean? Like, I would look at that and say, "This is a waste of opportunity." There's so much depth.
Unless it's Devonta Smith somehow, but that ain't happening.
Right? Exactly. So
I find it interesting that we've all gone offense today. I don't think there was any sort of prerequisite that said this is an offense show, right?
No.
I was hoping for some linebackers, some studs up in there.
All right, I will. Here's the guy I was going to talk about. I'll go ahead and throw a clip up, because now that we're just going to have some fun with it. Wait,
I'm not done with this guy. I'm not done with his last guy. That last guy is a big he's good. He could be a wide receiver, but he could convert into a tight end. He had the frame that looked like he could put on 10, 15 pounds
easy
and be a Jimmy Graham type tight end. His hands were amazing. That's what you do look at. His hands and his ability to take a hit.
Right.
Got them both.
Definitely. I mean, he's definitely is a natural pass catcher. I mean, the guy, obviously, if it hits his hands, he's going to catch it.
Yeah. So here's your linebacker, Mike. Cameron McGrone. This is the guy I was talking about. One place had him in the 40s. Everybody else had him a long way down. This particular play right here.
Now you're playing Michigan, you bastard.
Cameron McGrone's not even on the screen, and I will let you see his skill set. No, not that play. This is Cameron McGrone right here, number 44. This ball is snapped. When the ball is released, he's at the 15-yard line, right? Watch where this ball is caught and will tell me who makes the tackle.
Whew.
He's 40 yards downfield. So Cameron McGrone is a guy, I think he could be our starting middle linebacker for the next 10 years. And a lot of people weren't talking about him a lot. That's him 44. His ability to read and react, that was just him playing the run. He's sized. He's not the greatest. I shouldn't say not the greatest. He's 6'1", 236. So he could use a little bit of size. There's like I said, one place has him as a 3rd-round pick. He's an explosive playmaker, but sometimes he's too aggressive. He can over pursue. But when he's got his mind right, his pursuit is terrifying. This is just all the plays against Minnesota, by the way. This is not just his highlights. So, this is the entire Michigan defense against Minnesota. So you can watch him fill in gaps, push his running back outside, and you just happen to beat the tackle. But this is the kind of guy that I really liked as a defensive guy, because you asked for, and he finishes plays because you asked for a defensive guy that I think if we can get this guy in the 3rd round, one of our 3rd-round picks, this guy could be our middle linebacker, and we don't have to use a 1st or 2nd-round pick. You can go tackle, you can go guard, you can go tight end if Freiermuth falls. You can do all that, and he could fall down into the 70s, and you grab him, and dude, he starts day one for me. I don't know if you guys see it, but I just see it. We don't have this on our team. I'm gonna pull up some better highlights.
We definitely don't have the speed. We have the thumpers. I like Bostic and Holcomb. A lot of people are down on our linebacking core, but I like Holcomb and Bostic. I think they're not the fastest, but they've got a good instinct for where the ball is, and they hit you when they get there. I mean, look what Cole Holcomb did to Zeke when he got in there for the sack. I mean, he blew Zeke up and got the sack. That's what I like in a linebacker.
But I love Holcomb probably more than most people do. I just think we don't have that guy that really can flash, and we don't have an impact player in that part of the field like we really should have. But if one thing I'll say is if we are not able to find a hidden gem at linebacker, but with Del Rio and Rivera, running the show, then that's kind of sad. We ought to be able to find guys like this.
Here, this is McGrone. Tell me who this reminds you of.
Chase Young.
Wow. That was McGrone, came through the line and ended up stopping the quarterback a yard short.
Rung his bell too.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff.
Knocked his own helmet up. Yeah, here's a better shot of it. So this is the kind of guy that I want. I want aggression, because we have enough meat in the middle that they can handle, taking out the guard, taking out the center. I want the guy that's going to be able to just flash and explode. The guy that's going to break through the line, hit the gap. I don't need a 260-pound running linebacker would be great, but I don't necessarily think this defense needs that. I think we need a guy like this, a guy that can get upfield quickly, a guy that can also fall back into coverage. You can blitz him, you can run him to the flat, you can do a lot of things with him. Sideline to sideline is my priority at linebacker, not necessarily, the Ray Lewis run defense type guy, because I just don't know that we need that with the defensive line that we have in the front four. They can make a hole for him to get through. I don't need him to take on a center or a guard.
Yeah, they won't have to. I mean, our defensive tackles. I mean, we got Alan Payne, Ioannidis, Settle. There's just so many people there that lined up, and if we bring Kerrigan back, we'll be able to. And I hate doing it, but we could slack off a little bit at linebacker and still be the studs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't blitz. We didn't blitz much last year and still got all that pressure with the front four. Oh.
All right, boys. I think we've done enough here. It's been a pleasure always, and obviously we were trying to stay under an hour, and we're at about an hour and 20 minutes. So
I just got to ask one final question. So do we have consensus that we're going to draft in the 6th and 7th rounds? We're going to draft 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a linebacker. Is that what I'm hearing? Or
Hey,
I don't think your guys make it to 6 and 7. I'll be honest.
We'll see.
I'm gonna listen to the podcast to figure out who your running back choice was, and I'm gonna look for him. He's gonna go
Yeah.
higher.
I think we're in a very lucrative situation where we have a lot of places we could upgrade without a lot of places that we have to stretch to find try to find a starter at. Wide receiver is one of them. We could go into the season without drafting a single wide receiver, and I think all four of us would be comfortable with that. But then we could go into the draft and get a guy in the 5th round who comes into camp and he flashes, and we could say, well, we've got something here. Let's get this guy the ball, and it's just better. Same thing with running back. As much as we would like Barber to get upgraded, I don't think if we go in with the running back, the horses we got, I think we're all comfortable, So if we can upgrade these playmakers later with some later round gems, I think we're in a very good position with that.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Hard to argue logic.
All right, boys. Have a good night.
Good night,
All right,
guys.
Have a